You ready?
Yeah.
Cheers, motherfucker.
Cheers.
Tastes sour. We gotta let Dippy get some though. Dips B. Hold up. It's the first time he's gonna drink. Make sure I know how to do this right. Is it too low? It's too low. Raymond, can you grab like a cup or something? Fill it with water? That didn't work. Ugh. What's up, dude?
What's up? How's it going?
It's fucking awesome. Mutant City Horror. What are we doing here?
Monster Fest.
No. Horrorfest.
Oh,
Volume 1.
Horrorfest.
Episode
Cut
3.
that.
The final episode of Horrorfest Volume 1. Yeah. Re-Animator, right?
Re-Animator.
With our how do you
Beloved Jeffrey Combs. And David Gale.
Yeah, we made some Midori sours. I don't know if you guys can see the color. It's supposed to be bright green. Matt brought his own reagents. Thank you.
Yeah. You never know when we may need it.
So we tried to make the drink match the movie with our own little reagent. Cheers again, motherfucker. All right.
Or should we say carpet matching the grapes? Wait, drapes.
Well, it was funny. I was watching Forgetting Sarah Marshall today, and fucking Paul Rudd's in that shit. He plays the surfer.
I remember that shit. Yeah.
There's that scene where they're talking to Jack McBriar's wife, and she leaves, and then fucking Paul Rudd turns around and he goes, "I wonder if the carpet matches the pubes." It's like, that's not how that goes. Good looking out, Ram. Now we're trying to get Dipsby his own little drink here. I think that's gonna be too tall, actually. Fucking, we're gonna get this right. Look at it, it doesn't fit. Fucking Raymond.
We'll try again.
Dipsby's gonna get his own drink tonight. Been sitting in the background, but he deserves his own. Raymond's on that. So what's up, man? Here we are again. Okay, so had some available time tonight. We're like, fuck it, let's go large. It's the last episode in Horrorfest, and capping it all off with Re-Animator. Thought we'd come out, have some space, try the bro cave one more time, right? Got the lights up. Chili Willy hooked it up with the little red light in the back. Trying to make it
Got a little bit of a set design.
A little bit. It's coming out nice. So,
Re-Animator.
Yeah, man. Just
Ladies
fucking get right into it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah, might as well. Okay.
Go for it.
We all love the Re-Animator, right? I mean, it's a beloved film. One that we can definitely what's the word I'm looking for?
Let me softball it to you.
Okay.
So capping off our first ever volume 1 or volume series of our little arc. Again, we started with The Brain, directed by Ed Hunt, co-starring David Gale, who is also in Re-Animator, which is directed by Stuart Gordon. Stuart Gordon also directed What's the one we just watched? Castle Freak.
Castle Freak.
Yeah, so we watched the movies out of order, but fuck it, who cares? It's our show. We don't give a
Whatever.
shit. So last episode was Castle Freak. We got to see Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton play husband and wife, which is crazy because we watched that first, and it's been forever since I've seen Re-Animator. So to watch Castle Freak and see them a little bit older, I think there's a 12-year gap between Re-Animator and Castle Freak. I'm not 100% sure. You can fact check me. But saw them a little bit older in Castle Freak, and then coming back and watching Re-Animator, a little bit younger. Man, especially Barbara Crampton, man, she's baby facing that shit.
Yeah,
but,
she's really young.
But so was Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah,
Both of them. Yeah. But it was good to see him. You good? Let's try it again. All right. Good looking out, Raim.
That
See
might
if
be
this
the
works.
perfect size.
Maybe. I don't know. Let's see how it goes.
Why don't you give that to me?
Give what to you?
The dippy bird.
Why?
I mean, you good? Okay.
Do you want to go measure it out?
No, I was gonna say let me work on it, on getting it.
All right. There you go. Take
give
Dips
him
B
the
there.
proceeds.
Who would have thought that the most complicated part of our setup tonight was fucking Dips B? Go look it out, Daryl. We got Ray Ray in the background. He's going to be acting as our bartender / gopher. Good looking out, Ray.
And drug dealer.
Ah, yes. Anyways, so we finally watched the third one, Re-Animator, again, directed by Stuart Gordon, starring David Gale, starring Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton. As we
Produced
mentioned,
by John Usna. Or wait.
Brian
Brian
Usna,
Sorry.
who also directed the
R.I.P.
sequels to Re-Animator. That's Bride of Re-Animator and Beyond Re-Animator, which I don't think we're going to talk much about today. I think we're just focusing on Re-Animator.
Just Re-Animator.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let you take lead. I mean, yeah. Sorry, I didn't jump right back. Right back on it, man.
Well, I had to say this. Like, definitely a huge fan since I was a kid. Always made me feel like I was watching something that shouldn't be happening, right? You know,
like dead people shouldn't be coming back to life.
right?
Okay. Well, I mean, yes.
But I mean, it captures that element. You know, like it captures the things that, you know, like the things that we're curious about, the sciences behind it all, and you know, the things that people are willing to do just to see what happens, right? I mean, if you really think about it.
So you're alluding to like Jeffrey Combs' character, he wasn't even a doctor, right? He was in med school.
He's in
Herbert
med school.
West. Yeah. Studying death, really, right?
Yeah.
Because they ask him in the movie, like, what are you studying? He's like, death.
Death.
Oh, okay. Sure. That's not morbid at all.
Nothing morbid about that.
But the idea was that he was trying to take some of the science that was laid out before him by his predecessor, Dr. Hans Gruber, which don't be confused with the main bad guy from Die Hard, different Hans Gruber, medical school in Switzerland.
No Alan Rickman, people.
Unfortunately. Man, I loved him as Sheriff Nottingham in
yeah, dude, he's
Robin
played
Hood.
Amazing roles over the years.
Yeah.
Definitely a very celebrated celebrity, I'd say, and definitely one we're gonna miss for the future.
Yeah. But yeah, so Jeffrey Combs plays Herbert West, a med school student studying death and the possibility of reanimation in human people, and he developed this reagent that would bring the bodies kind of back to life, and he just wants to see if he can cheat death and kind of make a breakthrough in science in that way. Which, I mean, I wonder how many doctors like legit like fuck around with how do we stop the death process. Which,
yeah, I feel like that's a little overplayed in that movie. In the reality of things, I think doctors do what they can to allow people the chance to survive and stuff. But I don't see them really feeding off the knowledge of what happens if we can stop death, right? Like it doesn't seem like their traditional MO.
Well, think about it though, because how many times do you hear that there's more money in like treating something than there is in curing something, right?
Oh yeah,
So
well,
like if I am a doctor and you're in my care, I'm making money on your treatment and then you die, I don't make money off you anymore. But if I can bring you back to life and continue to treat you, fucking payday, baby.
yeah,
Make
very
that
good
shit rain,
point.
dude.
Yeah, very good point.
Which I don't know that they were going for that in this movie. I think it was just more of like, we're gonna have fun and try to bring people back to life. But again, also at the same time too.
No, there's fame. There's fame involved.
Well, let's not forget that the story is derived from an H.P. Lovecraft story.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Of the same name, Herbert West, Re-Animator. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I didn't look too far into it. As a matter of fact, I didn't take a lot of notes on this because Re-Animator is like one of those cult classics. I don't even know if I would call it a cult classic. It's just a fucking legendary movie. Everybody knows Re-Animator. There's a ton of shit on YouTube and on the internet everywhere. You just Google Re-Animator and you're going to be hit with all kinds of fucking facts and information coming from H.P. Lovecraft and people who've done video diaries on the shit and their own reviews on it. So like, we're not reinventing the wheel here. There was nothing, I didn't feel like there was anything that I could learn from the movie or about the movie or about H.P. Lovecraft or Stuart Gordon that I could bring to the table, literally, that anybody wouldn't already know or can't find somewhere else. So today I was just kind of going into it like, man, this is a fucking awesome movie. I just want to watch it, get drunk, and have a good time with it.
Which we are.
Salute.
Salute. Yeah, absolutely. Very, like I said, celebrated. In all cases, it's one of those iconic films that we'll just never forget. It's just, I guess in a way you can say it's like a modern Frankenstein.
Yeah, for sure. So for I think Frankenstein, then H.P. Lovecraft's short story, and then Re-Animator. So they're all kind of play on each other.
Yeah, intertwined.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite parts about this movie is the comedic aspect to it. I think there's so many like so much of this movie is hilarious, but I don't think that it's like trying very hard to be funny on purpose. I think it's just kind of baked into the writing, which is a draw for me because it's cool. We get to see all this, coming back from the dead and murder, and some of the special effects are really awesome. Like in the beginning, the opening scene where Herbert West is locked in the room with Dr. Hans Gruber and his, they break in to try to see what's going on in there, and the doctor's face is just all like swollen and puffy, and his eyes start to get really big, and it looks like it's gonna explode onto everybody like very violently. But then like when they actually do burst, it just kind of like sprays out a little bit and then kind of leaks down, which I thought was cool. It's a more subtle touch than like the over exaggerated like it's fucking blood and guts everywhere.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
just kind of like drip down.
I think the violence on this one is I actually noticed that too myself in this film, just little subtleties and stuff. The makeup was always right. Like when the characters were harmed in some way, you see the bruising and stuff like that and stuff. It didn't go for like the over the top kind of like bombshell just drops, like at any moment and stuff like that. It kind of fits right into like the possible reality of such horrors, I guess you could say.
Yeah, more subtle, like less over the top, more kind of realistic, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And the comedy factor too isn't overdone either. It's more like it fits right into where it's at. It's not. I wouldn't even consider it like a comedy, but it is funny, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. There's something about that kind of coincides.
You good, Rain?
I have come to the conclusion that I believe it's just supposed to
That looks good.
go back and forth.
Oh,
So,
dude,
where
it looks
you were to
perfect.
Dip its head in the water and then let it just.
Yeah, and then he's supposed to do his own thing.
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
And he's
So
thirsty.
dip the whole head in the water and then there you go.
Bam.
And
Cheers,
what, he just
mofo.
keeps going.
He'll do his own thing.
He'll just do his own
That
thing.
he's not supposed to go back into the water. It's just a constant movement and he's supposed to continue to do.
Oh, there it
Yeah,
goes.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, we just brought Mr. Dippy Bird to life.
Reanimated.
Raymond, you should be holding this, man.
Dude, where'd you get that?
Oh, so I went to a place that you guys might be familiar with had you been watching our podcast before, and you should have been. Nightmare Toys. They have a really cool store.
We met with them at CreepyCon.
Right, that's right. Yeah, yeah. And then we talked with one of the people from there, and they have a lot of cool stuff. They even have reagent. You know, got a dead family member, cat, whatever. You know, take care of it with this.
What is it with cats? Because like, there's that scene where Herbert West moves in. So he comes from Switzerland because the doctor that he's studying with is dead. Comes over to the States, starts attending this school in I can never
Really
fucking
random,
say
right? Like Milwaukee or yeah.
Is it Massachusetts?
It's
Massachusetts.
All right.
I have to enunciate Massachusetts because if I say it too fast, I say massive two shits.
Yeah. Massive two shits.
But so he's going there, right? And then the dean introduces Herbert West to another up and coming doctor there named Dan. I don't remember his last name. Oh no, I was familiar. Dan, what? What was his last name? We just fucking watched this movie.
Oh yeah, of course. What part are we on? We just started.
Well,
right?
no, I'm just saying the other character, Dan, the doctor, the roommate.
Oh yeah, that's Dan.
Yeah, but what's his last name?
I don't know.
Look it up, Raymond. It was like familiar. Where
I
like,
actually didn't even know if he had one. Are you sure he had one?
yeah, I'm positive because it was familiar to me for some reason, and I was like, if you just change Dan to like something else, and then it gives it a whole nother name, it reminds me of some. I don't know what it was. So look up
character names on
yeah, look up
Re-Animator.
IMDb, Re-Animator, and then look who played. We want the character Dan.
Okay.
But, anyways, the dean introduces the Herbert West to Dan, who's a third-year medical student, and was like, "Hey, he's going to be joining the program," and then also introduces him to Dr. Hill, played by David Gale, and Dan posts an ad in the community room that he's looking for a roommate, and fucking Herbert West shows up at the door in the middle of the fucking night. You know, just all random.
What better time of the day, you know, especially for a guy like Herbert West, you know, to just pop up in the middle of the night like, hey, I got your first month's rent.
Cash money.
Show me a basement. We're set.
Barbara Crampton's character, I never remember her name, so sorry. Was like,
God
I
damn,
don't
what
want
was
him.
her
I
name?
don't want him to move in. I don't want him to move in.
By the way, Barbara Crampton, very, very big fans here.
Very much so. Yes.
Yeah, you've idled us through the 80s.
What is it?
Dan Kane.
Dan Kane.
Dan Kane.
And I was
know.
thinking, you throw an E in there, you got Dean Kane. And then Superman, Smallville. We were just talking about Smallville earlier. Whatever.
I never.
My brain goes to weird places.
That's fine. That's fine. All of our brains go in weird places. That's great. I never knew.
And Barbara Crampton's character, I feel it's like Pamela or something. It's something generic.
It's something generic. What would you name a blonde hair, blue eye?
Megan.
All right, not too bad.
It is.
But
very
anyways,
generic.
the point I'm getting at is that he moves in. She's like freaked out about him, and then she's
Or,
telling Dean
more like, yeah, hey, you didn't ask enough questions here. You're like, do we really know
he's
who
also
this guy
a creeper too. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
is? He comes from
showed-
Sweden, just out of the clear blue, and he just starts showing up at school and stuff like that. Yeah, they don't know too much about him, so I guess, in her eyes is like she's trying to protect her boyfriend. She's kind of like, you don't want to ask this guy questions before you just take his money. What's the valuable lesson we learned?
No, that's a lot of money.
What's the
talks.
Yeah, money talks.
Money talks.
And so he takes it, right? He takes the wad of cash. She's like, well,
Yeah.
fuck it.
Jumping ahead a little bit, and Megan, Barbara Crampton's character, has a black cat that's running around the house, and then like a day after West moved in, the cat's missing, and they go looking for it throughout the house, and then they go into West's room and they open the little mini fridge, which kudos to having a mini fridge, but I guess it's typical of college students in the 80s. And then the cat's in there and it's dead. And Herbert West says that he found the cat dead. Okay, yeah, sure.
He suffocated. Head was stuck in a jar.
Yeah, got in the trash, got his head stuck in a jar, and it suffocated and died, which doesn't make sense to me because the jar is still open. I don't know, whatever. Either way, it doesn't matter. The cat's dead, but it's a black cat, and it got me thinking about Pet Cemetery, church. I think he was like a darker gray, almost
No,
black.
he was like a smoky gray.
But what is it with bringing pets back to life? I guess it's just like that whole let me test it on a pet first before I actually do this.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
It's a kind of a tier thing, and you're going from bottom tier to upper tier. You got to test it out with animals first. It's really the mentality of these scientists in the first place, right? I mean, you're gonna always test it on another living being other than a human first, just to get to see out an outer layer of results.
Yeah, 100%.
Which what I guess I can say I don't really understand that so much, because Herbert West had, from what we understand, had already used the reagent on a person. So why revert back? Maybe it has something to do with him moving to a new place.
That opening scene is him trying to reanimate Hans Gruber.
Yeah, we didn't actually get into that. That's right.
But he had mentioned that which is a kick-ass scene, and everybody was blaming him for killing Dr. Gruber, and he's like, I didn't kill him.
I gave him life.
I gave him life. But the dosage was too much. So lesson for next time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing for him to do there anymore, so he moves to the States, comes to the Massachusetts school, doctor school, meets Dan. What was it? Kane. Dan Kane.
Dan Kane.
Whatever, fool, I've been drinking like all day. Moves in, starts reanimating the cat, and then he's a little creeper. People are weirded out by him. Where does it go from there?
Excuse
me. Yeah?
That's exactly it. He moves in, and from there, wait, is that when he started already having problems with the teacher, right? The lecturing,
when he met him for the first time, when he meets
our friend
him for the
David
first
Gale.
Time, he was talking shit to him because he was telling him that Dr. Gale's work was derivative of Dr. Gruber's work, so much so that in Europe, it's
considered plagiarism.
Is considered a plagiarist.
Yeah.
Is that what you say? Plagiarist?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I just made that up.
No, I think that was in the movie.
You're a plagiarist. Well, he told him his work was plagiarism.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And what was the biggest point of contention, which was Dr. Hill has claimed Herbert West claimed, Dr. Hill claimed that the brain can survive 12 minutes after the body has died.
6 to 12 minutes.
Yeah, he was very adamant. No. 6 to 12, not just 12. Get your shit right.
Right? You didn't quote me correctly, sir. He said 6 to 12.
So they start off on bad terms. There's beef.
Already. Yeah. He's trying to teach his lecturer. Very fascinating scene, by the way. The whole peeling of it starts from the scalp.
Oh, well, no. I mean, that first part was just like the introduction to everybody. But then there's the scene where Herbert West moves in, and then it cuts to like the first class, and Herbert West is just there like breaking pencils in the middle of Dr. Hill's lecture because he wants to get to the part where Dr. Hill had talked about like the willpower part of the brain, because he's interested in that part surviving with his reanimate juice, if you will. And he got frustrated
Reagent.
that reagent. Yeah, I don't know why I can never fucking remember that. And he
Very
never got
simple
there.
thing.
And then that's when they started. That's that scene where like he's showing like how you get into the brain, Dr. Hill. So like you cut the back of the head, and then you get your fingers in there, and you just peel it like a big ass fucking orange, and then the skull is
That's exactly what he
exposed, and you
said,
take the saw, the bone saw, and cut a thin layer, and then take the top off and pull the brain out, and
Yeah.
bloop,
Like
there it
a
is,
cow.
just fucking putty in your hands. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool, like, well detailed scene. I felt like he was really doing it. Not gonna lie, and even for a movie from back then, like.
Well,
not
I
bad.
think we talked about this with the brain because we were talking about all the animatronics and the makeup and there was no CG included with the brain, and it's nice to see like hair and makeup and real shit. My brain automatically goes to like A New Hope, right? The very first Star Wars movie compared to like Episode 1 or Episode 1, 2, and 3 where it's just all fucking CG and it just looks like my computer vomited on me, like it's just
How does it feel to be a celebrity, just running in front of a green screen the whole fucking time, right?
it's got to be weird.
It's gotta be. It's like, hey, just don't worry about it. Just, do whatever.
Yeah,
and shit.
that's
We'll
got
just add it in the
yeah.
background later.
I mean, I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it's fun the first couple times, but then like all the time, I can imagine what it's like to make a Marvel movie.
I always think about that shit all the time, dude. Like, yeah, whether you're floating in the water or you're fucking, you're lifted up in the air, whatever the fuck it is, you're just hanging there. Like, I just sit here. They do the rest, right?
You know what's kick-ass though? Have you seen how they make the Mandalorian? They don't use like a green screen. They use like a dome. I forget. I think it's called the dome. I'm not sure, but like it's this thing where Pedro Pascal will walk into, and it's like a 360 like screen that shows all the background of whatever planet he's on or whatever the background is. And so as he's moving in this dome, kind of all the video on the screens in the dome kind of move with him and shit. So it makes for like a better version of a green screen. But
Makes him feel like he's actually there.
it's pretty fucking badass. I don't know where I saw it, maybe on YouTube or something, but I'm sure if you look on Disney Plus, like in the extras, you can find it.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty badass. Yeah.
I've never heard anything like it.
But yeah, fucking kick-ass zombie movie. So I don't know, where are we?
So after Herbert West moves in, after the conflict with the doctor,
Mhm.
one of our main protagonists, what was his name? Dan.
Dan.
Dan goes to the headmaster of his school. I don't know if that's what they're called.
The dean.
The dean. Of his school. Mind you, the dean just happens to be the father of his love interest, which is Barbara Crampton. And he goes to him. He's trying to tell him, hey, Herbert West knows some shit, right?
Yeah.
He's got something that's gonna blow the Nobel Prize right up.
Well, that's because at this point Wes had already showed him what the reagent can do
Right
with the black cat in the basement. So he saw him bring it back to
reanimated
life
the cat
a second time.
2
Because
times.
the cat was dead,
Uh-huh.
and then that's how Dean found out. Was like he heard the cat going crazy in the basement, and then he came down to check it out, and they killed it again. And then Herbert West told him what he was doing and showed him, brought the cat back to life. So it was on his third life.
Do you agree he's dead right now?
The cat?
No, that's what he said.
Oh yeah.
You remember
yeah,
that?
Yeah.
Because the guy wasn't buying it. He's like, no. He's just, what did he say? Like he's all, he cut down his breathing and stuff. You know, like whatever the case may be, he didn't feel like the cat was originally dead. So our reanimator goes like, hey, well, do you agree he's dead right now? All right, the thing's cut in half and shit. It's pretty fucking stiff. So yeah, it's dead. Right? So what does he do? He gives it some more reagent, right? What happens then?
Came back to life.
Comes back to life, right? Goes on a rampage, starts fucking mangling shit, throwing shit all around and stuff. They're trying to catch him with all they got.
All I remember was that fucking Dean, or now I want to call him Dean Kane all the time. Dan,
That's his name, right?
pulled the cat off of Herbert West and fucking just threw it against the wall, and you just had that splatter against the wall.
Oh yes, and that was
which is funny. Which is funny because, sorry Raymond, but we had started watching the movie before you got here, and then when you told us you were on your way, we stopped and restarted it. But the first time
we only got to the credit scene at the beginning.
Yeah. when in the so after the credits, the first scene is Dean trying to do chest compressions on a very large woman, and then she dies, and so he has to wheel her into the cold room, or I don't know where you call it, which is where we see David Gale for the first time. But his scrubs are so drenched in sweat, and I was like, damn, that's a lot of sweat for somebody who was just doing chest compressions. But when I'm watching him do chest compressions, it reminded me of that scene from an episode of The Simpsons, and Daryl can fact check me on this. There's a scene in The Simpsons where they go to a veterinarian hospital, and this doctor is like good looking, is doing chest compressions on a hamster, and it fucking doesn't work, and the hamster flatlines, and he's just like, oh man, this is the worst part of my job. I don't know how to do this. And he fucking picks up the hamster and he just like tosses it right behind him, and it hits like a basketball backboard into a trash can. I don't know why, but that scene when he was doing the chest compressions just reminded me of that shit.
And as I had pointed out too in the movie itself, Dan seems to be that kind of guy who's one thing I noticed, I've probably seen this movie 100 times. You know, sometimes you see these movies and then you realize something that you didn't catch them the first time around. That was definitely one of these times. Is how adamant he was trying to get this person to survive at the beginning, which kind of shows his character a lot. Which I always tended to wonder why the character of Dan kind of brought Herbert West in. I mean, the guy's a creep in every aspect. Everyone knows. You see a bunch of red flags there. Like you said, he shows up in the middle of the night looking for an apartment. But the first thing he wants to know is if you got a basement. Shit like that. You know, you're kind of wondering, fuck is this guy up to? You know, but in our normal, minds, that's exactly what we would think. But, for a guy who's, for one, desperate for money and stuff, definitely you could use that extra cash flow from a roommate, to a man who is so persistent on saving a life. It makes a lot of sense to me that he kind of collaborated with the Re-Animator the way he did.
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember you said that. I was like,
I think at this point, after the whole cat incident, they've established at this point a very strange bond.
Yeah. So that's what leads to Dan going to the dean, who's Barbara Crampton's father, and saying, "Hey, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's on to something." Tries to tell him all about it. The dean thinks he's just full of shit, and the guy's overworked, and like he's now just fabricating a bunch of crap, right? Something like that. And also knowing that his daughter is involved, obviously he's not too happy about that. So that's just another staple in it. He's like, hey, no, what kind of shit are you getting my daughter into? And threatens legal action, threatens what do you call it? Student loan.
Kicking him out or whatever.
Yeah, kicking him
pretty
out,
much.
and I forgot what this, the word is, the term is for.
I don't remember. I've been drinking all day.
Yeah, we were drinking all day. So he threatens basically his career, and I think at this point Dan just well, at this point he's not thinking, in his right mind. He decides to go further with the with Herbert West's theory of making things happen. So they work together. They get into the morgue. What happens from there?
Oh, they locked themselves in the morgue, right? I think there was the old Trojan horse, right, where Dan was carting in a body on the slab, and security guard who just sits at his desk and smokes cigars, which I think I called out
I
there
love
in the
that
movie.
guy.
It was like, dude, not only was he smoking a cigar, but like in that way where like it's just tucked in his lip like all the time. But he had a big ass fucking ashtray on his desk too, full of like cigarette butts and shit. And I was just like, man, you remember when you could smoke in hospitals? It's the good old days, you know?
I mean, I want to say I can remember, but honestly, in our lifetime, were they really smoking?
No, not in my lifetime, but just
Yeah.
in movies.
But
I
yeah,
think in The Exorcist too. I think that's the first time I ever saw it. There's an extended version of The Exorcist, and they show Reagan getting her spinal tap, and
yeah, the doctors there just smoking
yeah,
away.
and the mom too.
Yeah,
I was like,
I think
man.
she's
I was like, are they
possessed.
smoking in the hospital? Like, the fuck?
Right.
Anyways,
Sorry to interrupt, but would you guys like refills?
yeah,
Oh,
man.
absolutely,
Hell
dude.
yeah.
Absolutely. God damn, aren't you the greatest?
Good looking out.
Dude, that's an awesome shirt, man.
Thank you.
So Trojan horse, right? So they want to get into the morgue and fuck around with the reagent. And so Dan has Herbert West laying out on the fucking slab, covered. Security guard pays him no mind, lets him in. They get in. They administer the reagent to some cadaver in there, and
It's just so okay, and by the way, they're looking for the right cadaver to use and shit. So they don't want, this like what do you call him? The meatball or whatever.
oh
and
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't want the legless corpse with all burns and shit all over it. They don't want the malpractice victim or whatever. They happen to pick a person who happens to be, an unknown who died of some small like heart condition or whatever the fact may be, but they happen to choose one of the biggest corpses in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Hey, go big or go home, right?
right. Like, this guy's like bigger than both of us put together. Fuck it. Let's give him all the reagent we got, right? Just fucking keep giving it to him. See what happens. They're not happy with the results. It doesn't come to life like they thought it would originally, and but I wanna say the dean had figured out that Dan himself had gone back to the morgue. I mean, remember, he's been suspended from school, so that suspends his access and stuff like that. So he wants to know what he's still doing there. So he goes to creep up in him in the morgue while they're doing this. The body of the super bulky Riproid guy that goes running amok and shit in this morgue and stuff after they administer the reagent happens to kill the dean. Am I correct? Is that how it happens?
Yeah.
And then the dean dies, and which bad news all around. All right, some serious shit got fucked up. I kind of want to know, like, if you're in this situation, you have the power to reanimate and stuff, and you utilize whatever you have around you, meaning corpses and stuff like that. What do you think is gonna happen? I mean,
Well, I mean, you already saw what happened in the very fucking beginning. This is the very
Well-
first scene. You see what happens. Okay, maybe you gave him too much of a too large of a dose, but now you've just administered it to another cadaver in the school, and it didn't go well either. So you're 0 for 2, and then they get the bright idea of administering the reagent to the dean, because one of the things with Wes is
it's fresh
the
as corpse.
freshness, right?
Yeah,
like
fresh as
let's
corpse.
get to it as soon as possible, right?
I
And
like,
it still
I like
didn't
his
fucking
little
go right.
montage there too. Like he's all like, "Look, you can sit there and sulk about this. Like this is not his words verbatim, but just him like telling him like, hey, we can sit there and try to figure out what we did wrong here this whole fucking time, or we can use this brand new corpse. It's a perfect. It's probably got the perfect motor function for what we need it to do. Is respond. We need it to respond as a person that it once was and stuff, right? So he's figuring, try to get it together, figure his shit out. This is the best opportunity we got. So let's give it to this guy too, right? Let's bring Barbara Crampton's father back from the dead.
How'd that go?
Not too well, right? From what I understand.
Shocker.
Oh no! As it turns out, chaos ensued, and the security guard, the one that we were talking about, the guy that's always smoking the cigars, looking at the porno mags and stuff in the hallway. He notices something's up, and he's all like, "What the hell's going on here?" They're like, "Hey, this guy, this is the dean. He went crazy and he stuck this bone saw through this corpse, that just so happened to not be running amok. And, he went crazy, tried to kill us type shit. Good way out of it, So they kind of use that to cover up their tracks and stuff. But again, I do have to admire Herbert West's value on just fucked up. Let's do it again.
Hey, rinse and repeat. Practice makes perfect. Not in this movie, but I understand the logic. Yes.
No, I do too. I think in a way it's kind of what makes Herbert West a very likable character. Do we really know Herbert West or not? Is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? I think that's
I
kind
think
of.
he's just a weird guy.
I don't know if he fits in either way. He's just kind of the catalyst of what's going on. He's kind of
Well,
like
yeah,
in
he's
control of a situation.
He's the only one with the reagent and making it all happen.
Right. And but doesn't this movie always show signs of whether villain, good guy? You know what I mean?
I think
'Cause-
more mad scientist.
Yeah, I definitely get that vibe too. He is a mad scientist. Yeah, we'll take those.
Good looking out. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think there's a good or bad guy to mad scientist. I think it's just middle of the road mad scientist.
Yeah, I believe that. I do believe that. But I think in this circumstance, you're either a villain or a protagonist. I don't know. I mean, and I the movie kind of in itself kind of plays that role. Like, where do you angle on this? You know what I mean? Like, not you in general, but like the movie in itself is like kind of like, yeah, I don't know. But like you said, mad scientist just wants to see what the fuck happens. And,
Yeah.
he's not even in it for the fame. He's offering the fame to his roommate.
Dr. Hill was in it for the fame though, because
yeah.
so
As scientists do, though.
the dean is dead, is reanimated. Somehow Barbara Crampton finds out.
Yeah, she walked in on the procedure.
That's right.
She actually walked in on the procedure of the cat. Already fucked her
Well, she
up.
knew that was happening. but then she saw it that it got done with her
Excuse
dad.
me.
And she freaked out.
Oh yeah. As she had come in, her dad was already reanimated.
They had to
Not her
put him
dad
in like
anymore.
a. They had to put him in like a quarantine room. You know, they couldn't figure out what to do with him, and
Dr. Hill tried to make him into his project, his little lobotomy project, right?
yeah. And then he goes to visit Herbert West at the house to figure out how he's doing it. Herbert West shows him, giving him a little sample in the microscope, showing him dropping some reagent on some brain matter. And while Dr. Hill is just like hyper focused on what's happening in the microscope, fucking Herbert West doesn't, sleep on an opportunity.
Ultimate shovel kill.
Yeah, man, just came in
Ultimate.
and fucking hit him over the head with the shovel, and then did that thing where you just like shove the shovel in the dude's throat, which is cool because, watching it, you're like, I know how they do that, where they just like cut a hole in the shovel, like a kind of like a half circle, if you will, so it can get right here in the throat, and then you just put all the blood on it, and it's always a good look. But decapitates him.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
He decapitates him, which is ironic because I guess this is the first time this has happened, but then in the brain, David Gale also gets decapitated again, which go back and watch part 1 of Horrorfest. We talk about it then.
That was a revisiting joke. We've already we have talked about that.
Yeah.
Not in the last podcast, but amongst ourselves. David Gale returning as a head once again.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, I've done this before.
But this
I got
time,
this.
so the head is just he just takes the head and he like puts it in a tray right next to him, and it won't fucking stand up. So he gets that I don't know what you call these things, but it's like
a Post-it note thing.
back in the day, you used to have this like round circular base that had a long like spike to it, I guess, and you'd put all
like a
your
meat
like call
temperature
notes
gauge
there.
kinda
Yeah, kind
thing,
of like
you know?
upside down. Yeah, and all the notes or the receipts would go there. So he takes that, he fucking shoves the head on it and puts it in the tray, and it's sitting there perfect. And then he decides, you know what? I have yet to try reanimating just body parts. So let me reanimate this head, and sure enough, it works.
Which is a
head comes
big
back to life.
influence. Which is a big influence on part 2. We all know his Bride of Re-Animator, probably to be revisited at some point.
But then he also injects the headless body with the reagent, and so both of those come up at the same time. The body then attacks Herbert West, knocks him out, and then it's cool because the head of Dr. Hill, David Gale, can control the body, so it can be chilling in a tray, but then like give it command to go like do other stuff. And so he had robbed Herbert West of all the reagent and then bounced. Then Herbert West woke up and he was like, my reagent's gone.
Yeah, man got a second chance and he stuck to his opportunities. Go figure. Yeah, and then now you just pissed off one of the weirdest madmen on earth and shit. You got him like fucking flailed and like, oh shit, I need to figure this out. It's weird.
Yeah.
When the reanimator needs something done, he has to make sure that gets done and shit.
So he runs back to the school, knowing that's probably where he ended up. Which,
before that, no, he had found. That was right. Are we not at the part where? Oh God. Where Dan got attacked by her father once he was a zombie when he came back from the reanimator.
That's back at the hospital, wasn't it?
That was at their home. That was at Barbara Crampton's home.
Well, no. What happened was Dr. Hill went back to the hospital. He went back to the hospital with the reagent. He left.
Oh yeah, he went back to.
He walked into the area where they were keeping the dean, and like he was like communicating with the dean like telepathically or some shit. I don't know. And so
Yeah.
he busted him out of there, and then the dean left and went to the house and attacked
That's right.
Dan.
I jumped the gun on that one.
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
bad.
And attacked Dan, and then they knew he was out, and that's where he was. So they go back to the hospital, and that's where Dr. Hill is. What was he doing there? He fucking was walking around the hospital, but he had put his head. He had the body put his head in a bag, and then he had the body take like a mannequin head and put it on top of the body, and he was walking around with like a fucking COVID mask on.
It was COVID mask. That's funny. That's what they're
That's
called
they are
now, by the way. It was one of those heads that shows you the anatomy of the human head.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. It
was
wasn't
like,
a mannequin head.
yeah. It was like one of
It was
those
a
like
teaching head.
half flesh on this side. The rest of it was like bone and like different layers,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
shit.
But he gets into the morgue.
Mhm.
We don't know what he's doing in there quite yet. But then Dean and
He's got a
Herbert
plan.
West and Barbara come back, and they try to figure out what's happening, and they see the body, and they're like trying to, kill it or whatever. But then, like, out of nowhere, Dr. He injected all the other bodies in the morgue with the reagent, and they all came alive and started attacking everybody. And
That was one thing I kind of slipped on by, right? I mean, I guess
well,
we could have figured that.
They don't show him doing it.
How
it
could
just
he
popped
time
up as
that
a
so
surprise.
properly?
Movies.
No. Arguably a great scene. I'm not gonna lie. It was one that you didn't see coming, and it's like when it happens, like, oh fuck, you're pretty much fucked. I mean, you're surrounded by zombies at this point. What the fuck? do you
It's
do?
like any like crucial like moment in the good zombie game where like they all just kind of like you kill one and you're like, all right, that was a hard one, but I got it. And then like 9 other ones pop up and you're like, fuck. That's exactly what that scene was.
That was a very good, intense scene. I always thought.
Yeah, it was fun.
Actually, even that first zombie outbreak during the morgue, I always thought was a very intense scene. I guess because of the size of the zombie, because he was all massive and shit, But yeah, just all that alone, isolated area, underground. Like it kind of reminds you of something that's like happening right in your own backyard and you don't even know it. I think it's. I don't know. That's kind of like the feel of that for me. Like it's just like how do you know this isn't happening right now? Kind of shit. I don't know.
Like in
Anyway.
real life?
Well, yeah, in the movie universe, but yeah. How do you know? I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some crazy shit going on.
So all the bodies come to life in the morgue. They get through them all. But in the midst of all that, Barbara Crampton dies.
Sad but true.
Mm.
Oh no! How did you go this far without mentioning one of the most iconic scenes in film history? I mean, come on. We all remember the severed head and the potential to eat out Barbara Crampton and shit.
Oh, fuck.
a remote carpet munching session right in front of us.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Gruesome, but like, guys, I gotta hit the restroom real quick. Nah, that's good.
Yeah, there's that scene. So I don't remember.
Because we had forgot to mention that Dr. Hill had somewhat of a crush on Barbara Crampton.
Yeah, it's kind of an underlying theme throughout the movie where like he's just like
Raymond. What'd you say her name was? Megan.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, he had a crush on Megan, which It's a little strange. I mean, yeah,
It's
she's
like
an adult.
40 years her senior and shit.
Right, he's like this old graying old dude and shit that I often mix up with
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee. I mean, if you know Christopher Lee and you don't know this guy, then put the two together. It's probably about the same age. The guys are both pushing, I don't know, mid-50s. I don't even know. In that movie, probably not 50 yet, but close. Really old. And she's like what, like a 21-year-old, like
Yeah, she's super young in this one.
so it's a little bit weird, he's like fine dining with her dad, like I think you should come home with me. And I should entice you with my great cooking and my bullshit. I don't know. like that's gonna sell
Weird
him
for
over.
sure.
So this guy he never had a chance with her. Probably knew it. At this point, took advantage in the worst ways possible, right?
How did she get on the slab? I don't remember. We
Well,
just
he
fucking
kidnapped
watched
her.
this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That's what it was.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the point we got to where he utilized her father to go back to his house and kidnap his daughter, and of course in the way was Dan, Herbert West's right hand man, who was actually thinking about skipping town, putting all this shit behind him, just getting away from her just to save her, like do what he can, because apparently these two characters are very much in love. And all of a sudden, her zombie dad comes busting in, knocks him out, and blah blah blah. And that's how we get to this moment, when she's taken to the morgue and she's tied down, and her own
Stripped.
father
Stripped.
strips her naked, which is, I mean, he's a zombie.
He's mush brain at this point.
Yeah. I don't think there was any, still very awkward. I think that was the point of that scene too.
To make it awkward, or like?
Oh yeah, to make it really weird. I mean, at this point, it's the Re-Animator. You just want to make shit as weird as possible.
I guess.
But we got
so
a
she's
beautiful
laying there.
nude
Yeah,
scene
she's laying there
of
naked
Barbara
on the slab.
Crampton.
Yep. And so Dr. Hill tells he has the body pick up the head and then like put the head over her tits, and is like starting to like kiss on them and lick them, and then kind of getting down to Pleasure Town, and
horror version of 50 Shades of Grey, I guess.
50 Shades of Green.
Whatever. Awesome scene, and yeah, like the head trying to lick her snatch. I think that's like an iconic scene in horror history for sure. Everyone, I don't know.
Yeah, that's like one of those things that everybody remembers from that movie.
Yeah,
which I guess, whatever.
I mean, the movie's got all kinds of memorable scenes, but everyone knows that one.
But then again, so can just kind of looping back, Dan and Herbert make it over there and to come rescue her, and they're getting in a fight with all the corpses, and in the midst of everything, Barbara Crampton ends up dying.
That's where we got to, yeah.
And
so she dies, and we're right back to square one, right? Like when he was trying to save the woman at the beginning, and he was they tried defibrillation, didn't work. He kept trying to do chest compressions and stuff. The guy would not give up. And again, the woman that was in charge, she's telling him, like she was telling him before, like, hey, it's done. Can't do anything anymore. Well, we all know at this point it probably touches base with this guy, because now the woman that he loves is now dead, and he feels like he could have done everything possible to save her. What are you going to do? Let me ask you as an audience, what would you do if you had the power to bring her back?
I don't know. What would I do?
I don't know. What would you do?
Look, I love my wife 100%. There's nobody I love more.
Tell me you wouldn't
wife.
bury her in the pet cemetery?
But if I've already seen what this shit does, I don't want mush brain for a reanimated wife.
Probably a
I'd
good
leave well
moral
enough
message
alone.
in this movie and stuff. As much as you love a person, you probably just want to let him go, right? You know, probably don't want to bring him back to life. You suffer the repercussions. They're probably not the same person anyway at this point.
Yeah, they're mush brains.
So there you have it. We have Re-Animator.
Dude, I used to watch the shit out of this movie with my dad, man.
I know he was talking about it earlier.
Was he
today.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. And,
It's one of his favorites.
dude,
Which is weird because Pumpkinhead, which we did as episode 2, was also one of his favorites.
The
And like
Smashing Pumpkinheads.
yeah. and I said this last episode when we were talking about Dolls, which was also directed by Stuart Gordon. Dolls and Pumpkinhead were 2 movies that would come on like either Channel 5 or Channel 9 on Saturdays at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I just watch them all the fucking time. And I remember like at one point Tony was like, "Didn't you just watch this movie last week?" And I'm like, "Yeah. But I'm watching it again because it's fucking on." Re-Animator is one of those. Obviously, that one doesn't come on TV very much, if at all.
Yeah.
But like, you know, HBO or, you know, anytime we had cable or, you know, rent a movie or whatever, I always remember my dad kind of, you know, loving that movie. And because he loved it so much, I would watch it with him all the time. And anytime it would come on, I'd always watch it. So it's on Shudder. You can rent it on Amazon, $3.99. I recommend it. Fucking watch it. It's a great movie.
Fucking buy it. Great movie.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like we're at that point already where like, you know, first it was records, then it was 8-track, then tapes, then CDs, then MP3s.
Once you get it digitally,
and now it's just streaming.
Well, that's what I mean by buying it. I don't mean by
yeah, yes.
If
my
you're the
mind
movie
goes straight
collector
to, like,
and you like
DVD.
the artwork and you like the casing and stuff like that, yeah, by all means buy this movie. If you're the type of person that likes to just have a digital library, I believe that this one is definitely good for the archive for sure. The library.
Yeah. I don't think I've shown the kids this movie yet.
I mean, we'll leave that to you guys.
Oh, no, I won't. That's for
What do
me
you
to
think he
decide.
should do as a dad?
I mean, other than the one scene where he's, you know, the head's trying to eat out Barbara Crampton, like, it's just another fucking zombie movie. Which is nice because
I don't think this one is kid friendly. I don't think it's ready for the kids yet. Like, well, because there's no. First of all,
dude, my stepson is 17 and my stepdaughter is 14.
But for
and she watches the weirdest shit. So.
Yeah, but for the first, one of the first things you should think of is like this movie's gonna go over their head. There's no way they're gonna think like.
Well, hold on. Were you as connected or like? Did you have the same in-depth feelings about this movie that you do now when you watched it for the first time? You're like, no, it's a fucking kick-ass movie where there's blood and guts and bodies coming back to life and there's boobs.
No,
and
I appreciated it for what it was. I did.
The same way you do now, you felt that way when the first... Nah.
Yes, yeah, I swear to God.
On,
I swear
dude.
to God. I grew up on these kind of movies, though. That's a totally different situation. Like, did they really grow up on these, or did you just kind of bring it into them?
They grew up on them because I brought them into them. We sit there and watch them because I love them, so they grew up watching these types of movies.
Maybe it works out that way. I came from a household...
No, what I'm saying is the level of insight and thought that you have regarding this movie today is not the same as it was when you watched it for the first time.
It never is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So why would that be different for them? So why would that be different for them then?
Because I just don't like, unless they want to watch it themselves, I don't think it's a movie that you kind of throw at them. I mean, yes, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Yeah, throw them the whole, like the whole classic archive. But I don't think this one kind of matches up.
Mm.
I think this is kind of more for the for what's the word I'm looking for? God damn it.
Encyclopedia.
Whatever. I think it's not meant for everyone, but watch it, enjoy it. If you watch this channel, you probably love the Re-Animator, for sure. Yeah. This isn't like Monster Squad or some shit.
Monster Squad's good though.
Yeah, it is.
It's one of Raymond's favorites.
Wolfman's got nards.
Monster Squad is-
At home I actually got that shirt that says Stephen King rules.
Do you really?
I swear to God. I'm gonna wear it. I
watched
want
it
to.
at Quentin Tarantino's theater too, not too long ago.
Nice.
He played it
Nice.
at the New Beverly.
Oh yeah.
Re-Animator,
movie.
great fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Go back. I don't think anybody. I've never heard of anybody who dislike the movie. Either they've never seen it or they've seen it and they love it.
You're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not one single person who's seen it that said, "No, I don't like that movie.
Yeah.
It sucked," which is weird. Nowadays you seem to get those like for every 10 movies that comes out, you get 2 movies that are good. The rest of them are like,
Yeah.
watch it, see it for yourself.
No, this one's great. You'll love it. Go get it. Go watch it. Find it.
Yeah,
You'll love it.
Re-Animator, and that concludes our epic adventure.
Till the next one
Till the next one.
or next episode.
You guys have to rate it.
No,
No, we're not doing it with the no
yeah,
rating for
this is a
Horror
different
Fest.
thing. Horrorfest is something different.
Yeah.
It's a whole new thing. So Volume 1, Horrorfest. We're glad to experience this with you guys. We had the 3 great movies. We had The Brain. Then we had
Castle Freak.
Castle Freak. Then we had
Re-Animator.
Re-Animator. I'm sorry, I just want to play a trick on my buddy here. I knew it was Re-Animator.
Don't forget, we're gonna be at Monster Palooza in Pasadena in June.
Already bought my tickets, baby.
We have our live podcast at the event in Ontario in July, and then
I think it's Rancho. I don't know.
Ontario, Rancho. Either way, we're gonna be live.
We're gonna be
Well-
live. Please come and see us. It'll be great to see our fans, and it's gonna be fun.
Find us on Instagram at Mutant City Horror, or you can email us directly at mutantcityhorror@gmail.com. Or if you are a friend or family, just text, call, whatever. Either way, all good.
We know your heart's there.
Love you guys. Till next time.
Till next time.